Hi guys, once again I'm looking at this Bull Express5800 server. I don't know if you can remember from the previous video, but one of the drives in position 0 has failed, and so I've since acquired some of these HP 36.4 gigabyte SCSI drives in the HP sleds. Some of them are compact, some of them are HP. But the idea I'm going to do today is move the two working original drives that are in 1 and 2 to 0 and 1, and then fill the rest up with the 36 gig HP drives. So the process is a case of taking the blanks out of the Bull server caddies, so you end up with this, and then I've taken the drives out of the HP sleds and fit them into the Bull server sleds. So I've done one, I've got another 3 or so to do, and I just did one to check to make sure that they were detected and they spun up and everything. So I'm going to get on with that and I'll pick up in a second. Okay, so I have removed the master drive that was faulty and moved the drive down. I've moved 2 into spot of 0 and left 1 where it originally was. I've then put 4 new HP compact drives, and because the sizes are different I need to create 2 logical drives, so I'm going to do that now. So I'm going to say new configuration, and then 0 and 1 are the Maxters, and then 2, 3, 4, 5 are the compact drives. So I'm going to select that one and make that one into one section, and then select those drives and make that into another, and then if I press enter I can say the first one is RAID 1, so it's using one of the Maxter drives and striping it. For redundancy I'll accept that, and then it's offered to do a RAID 5 of the other drives, so I think it's adding them all up with some sort of other redundancy. I'm not a RAID expert, please don't quote me on anything here. So this is going to create then 2 logical drives. There we go, 2 logical drives. We'll save that configuration, and then we should initialize logical drives. We'll press F2 to select all drives and F10 to initialize them. And I guess I'll let this process run through, and that's done. I've got my totally legitimate holographic XP Pro. I'm going to not install XP Pro, but at least use it to format the logical drives and make sure that they can be formatted. Hopefully XP has got the RAID controller drivers built in, so I don't need to supply one on a floppy disk. We've all seen this before, guys, haven't we? Goodness me. Ah, I just saw it there, Mega RAID. So it's already got the drivers built in, that's fortunate. I think. Ah, right. Did not find any hard disks. What a shame. What a shame. I think I will need to provide some drivers on a floppy disk. So Windows XP didn't have the drivers for the Mega RAID controller card, but it looks like the Windows 98 boot CD does, and so I'm F-disking the drives as we speak. Or as I speak, not you speak, I speak. I've just done the first fixed disk, which is the position 0 and 1, RAID 1, and now it's doing the RAID 5 logical drive 2, fixed disk 2, whatever you want to call it. And looks like I'm going to install Windows 98. So not only does the Windows 98 boot CD work, the plop boot floppy job thing does as well. This is what I use to CD-ROM boot 486s. So anyway, let's just boot the CD-ROM drive. I didn't need this to boot the Windows 98 CD, by the way. That did work on its own. Let's start the setup. So Windows 98 setup is going to want to format the hard drives, and unlike the XP on NT based setups, it doesn't do a quick format, and so I will end up having to just format the drive and come back when this is done. Well, the C drive formatted actually very quickly, to say it did a full format in quotes, but now it needs to format the second logical drive D before you can continue. So I'll do that. I'll let this one run through, and hopefully we can get some Windows 98 action on this server. I don't know what it's actually formatting because the activity lights aren't changing. It did when it was doing the F disk, but I'll just spin you down and you can see. So these top 4 drives, the LEDs aren't blinking, but when it was formatting the C drive it was blinking these 2 LEDs, and when it was F disking it was doing the 4 drives. So goodness knows what's truly happening. I'll try and line you back up and you'll see the end of the format. So we're ready to install Windows 98, and I'll just let it do the system checks and whatnot. This should be rather quick. These 2 drives that it's going to have the operating system installed on are fairly fast drives. It's a 10,000 RPM drive, and they're striped together so they appear as one drive and split the data over. So I imagine Windows 98 is going to, once the server's got past all the server crap during post, which takes forever, then it'll be one of the fastest Windows 98 machines you'll come across, apart from obviously a virtual machine or using an SSD perhaps. But anyway, we've all seen Windows 98 setup, so I'll get straight into installing and pick up once we're in the operating system. Okay, so it's the next day from the previous clip where I said I would install Windows 98, and well, Windows 98 did install, yet I'm getting a insufficient memory, but because I think there's too much memory for Windows 98 in this machine. There we go, insufficient memory to initialize Windows, blah 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 blah, and then it will shut down, and that's the machine gone. But luckily I've got a DVD drive that I can put into this machine, and hopefully that will give me the ability to install a more modern operating system such as Windows 7 or even Windows 10 potentially, and so I'm going to do that now. So swapping the drives on this, I think it's a case of taking the two screws off of the front of the bay, and then it slides out and it's mounted on this bracket here, and I'm just going to pull it out and get access to the cables. In fact, it might be better if I take the cables out the back. All tight. Oh, there we go. So that's the HL data storage CD-ROM drive, and you can see the bracket mounts to the side. Now I'm not wanting to keep this DVD drive in permanently because I simply want to install an operating system onto this server as an experiment before I get rid of it. And so I'm just going to loosely put it in there and connect the ribbon cables back up. Let me check the jumper configuration slave. I think it needs to be master. What was the other drive? Master, yep. So put it to master. You can't see what I'm doing. I'm off camera. Just slide it in there a little bit. Put the cable in, and let's put the side panel back on, else it's really noisy. It's not really noisy anyway, but noisy there. Right, give me a minute. So that DVD drive I got from the car boot for 50p had this Lilo and Stitch game in it. Just throw that away. I think I've already got that game somewhere. It's a newspaper promotional game. Right, I think the drive has been recognised. I'll double check in a second. And I'll find a Windows 7 disk. Sod it, I'm going to stick... Yes, it's been detected. I'm going to stick Windows 10, the July 2015 edition DVD in the original release. There we go, it's booting. If this restarts the machine, we know it won't work. I think it's the x86 version rather than the 64-bit, so it stands a better chance of running. The drive is blinking away. Magic is happening. The drive has stopped spinning and reading. Oh, there you go. Couldn't find any drives. Windows 10 might be too new. Windows XP is not new enough. Let us try Windows 7 then. If that doesn't work, then it's Vista or Server 2003, but I might end up having to resort to going and getting the Mega RAID drivers from LSI's website. Windows 7 doesn't have the drivers either. What I think I need to do is go and get the LSI drivers from LSI's website if they're still available. I think maybe everything's too new. If XP doesn't support it, and 7 doesn't support it, and 10 doesn't support it, but Windows 98 does, for a machine that came out in 2005, you'd pretty much think Windows 7, which is basically Server 2008 R2. I don't have 2008 or 2008 R2. Yeah, I'll try and find them on floppy and get back to you. So, in searching for the text mode drivers, I've managed to find a firmware upgrade for the Mega RAID card, and I'm going to try the firmware upgrade now, and you're going to see exactly as I'm seeing. Before we continue, it's going to be G500 instead of G112. I don't think the numbers here, because the N is higher than the L, and the L is a lower number than N. I think it is literally the G that we need to look at. It's from 2008, I think, and the card is currently a 2003 firmware.
the drivers are only available for 32 and 64-bit Windows Server 2003 and 32-bit Windows XP. I've tried them on Windows 7 and it doesn't work, so I'm going to go back to the original plan. I've got another floppy disk here that's got the text mode drivers on there for Windows XP, and we'll stick Windows XP on. I've got a Windows Server 2003 disk somewhere but no license key, so you know, we'll see what happens there. Right, this is exciting. Squeaky bum time. Firmware programmed successfully. Please reboot the system. Does this do it automatically, or do I press enter? I'll just Control-Delete then. Okay, so we rebooted successfully, and the BIOS version here is the G500 we were looking for. The firmware version is correct. I don't know why it's gone down from N to L. I don't know what they mean. Maybe there's some weird numbering process there. And if I go back to view the configuration, it's retained the existing array. It's all good. Let's try the Windows XP installation again. Windows XP setup, you press F6 as it's starting up to be able to specify additional drivers, and then it brings you to this screen where we need to specify an additional device. I'll put the floppy disk in. I've downloaded the 32-bit version this time, and if we wait a second or so, we should get an unexpected error. Oh goody gumdrops. So after much messing about, I found some drivers. I think I must have got some crazy version. I don't know what happened. The file name's the same, but I've recopied it and it's fine. So mine is a SCSI 320-1, and I want to use the driver on the floppy, and continue. Right, so I think I'm going to take the floppy disk out now and continue with the rest of the Windows XP setup. It's found the disks at least. Yeah, so I'll continue with the rest of the setup and report back any problems or whatever. LOL, I took the floppy disk out too early, didn't I? So XP installed, and upon first reboot I got a blue screen of death. I did a restart, chose safe mode, and blue screen of death. The XP installation I've tried a second time is one with all the hotfixes integrated, etc., and still the same output. So I'm pretty sure this is to do with perhaps the SCSI RAID drivers, because it doesn't even start loading Windows or anything like that before this occurs. It just jumps straight to this. I'll search the stop errors, but I'm not hopeful. And so what I'll do for now is I'll swap the DVD-ROM drive back out for the original CD drive and go back to a Linux installation. Okay, sorry for the sad ending, but that's pretty much it, I think, for this endeavour. I've been at this about 12-14 hours now, messing about, reinstalling Windows and downloading drivers and swapping stuff about and trying different floppy disks. I've gone through about 8 or 9 floppy disks trying to get the drivers to install because it kept saying it was corrupt and whatnot. But that's it for this video then, and yeah, so be sure to subscribe and follow me on LBX Computers on Twitter for more updates. Okay, thanks guys, bye.